The phone rang once. Just once. It was late, later than usual, and the house was quiet in the way only old houses get after midnight. The ticking clock on the kitchen wall sounded louder than it should have. He was sitting in his recliner, half asleep, television murmuring words he wasn't really listening to. For a moment, he considered letting the call go to voicemail. At their edge, calls after 10 usually meant bad news. Doctors, hospitals, emergencies. The name on the screen was Margaret, his wife. They had been married 42 years. He smiled faintly and picked up. "Hey," he said, his voice still thick with sleep. On the other end, there was a pause. Then she spoke. "I know it's late," she said softly. I wanted to hear you." He sat up a little straighter. She was staying with her sister that night. Said she needed a change of scenery. Said the house felt too quiet lately. He had teased her about it earlier that day. They talked. About nothing important. The weather, the neighbor's new mailbox, whether the old maple tree out back would survive another winter. She laughed at something he said. One of those small laughs. Not loud, not dramatic, but familiar enough to feel like home. Before hanging up, she said, "Thank you for answering." He didn't think much of it at the time. 2 hours later, the hospital called. He replayed that call every night afterward. The way she said his name, the quiet in her voice, the pause before goodbye. He realized something he hadn't before. She hadn't called to talk. She had called to say goodbye. And he almost didn't answer. The Bible was old. The leather cover had softened with age, the pages yellowed and thin. It had been his mother's, sat on her nightstand for as long as he could remember. He wasn't looking for anything special, he was just packing. After the funeral, after the casseroles stopped coming, after the house became quiet in a way that felt permanent, someone had to go through her things. That someone was him. When he opened the Bible, something slipped out and landed on the floor. A letter, folded carefully, unopened, yellowed at the edges. The date at the top read March 14th, 1987. It was addressed to him. He sat down slowly, the weight of it settling in his chest. She wrote about long workdays, about exhaustion, about missing school plays and football games and dinners she promised but never made. She wrote, "I hope one day you understand why I had to work so hard. I hope you never doubt that I loved you every single day." He realized something painful in that moment. She had carried this apology for decades, and he had never known she thought she owed him one. She went to the diner every morning at the same time. Same booth, same coffee, same routine. And every morning, a man sat at the counter beside her. They never exchanged more than a few words, just polite nods, soft smiles. One morning, his seat was empty. The waitress hesitated before speaking. "He passed in his sleep last night," she said gently. Before she left, the waitress handed her a napkin. On it was a message written in shaky handwriting. "Thank you for making the mornings feel less lonely." Every winter, he reached for the same jacket hanging by the door. It belonged to his wife. She had passed 3 years earlier, but the jacket stayed where she left it. Not because he forgot, but because moving it felt like admitting something was truly over. One morning, a cold snap hit unexpectedly. Without thinking, he put it on. In the pocket, he found a grocery list in her handwriting. At the bottom, one final line: "Don't forget to come home early." That day, he realized love doesn't disappear. It just waits quietly where it was last needed. They worked side by side for 30 years. Same factory, same shift, same lunch break. They weren't the kind of men who talked about feelings. On his last day before retirement, they shook hands like always. No speeches, no hugs. 2 months later, he learned his friend had passed away suddenly. At the funeral, the man's daughter handed him a folded note. It read, "Dad said you were the best friend he ever had." Sometimes, men say everything they need to say without ever speaking it out loud. Every night, she left the porch light on. Her son was grown, married, living in another state. Still, she turned it on, the same way she did when he was a teenager coming home late. One evening, she forgot. That night, her son called unexpectedly. He said, "I don't know why, Mom. I just needed to hear your voice." The next night, the light went back on. Not because he needed it, but because she always would.